There are stories that don't need words to make hearts tremble. There are heroes who never step onto a stage, yet change someone's life simply through their quiet presence. Today I'll tell you about a dog that never barked and a little girl with a heart full of cracks. They had nothing in their hands except each other, and that alone was enough to make the whole town rise to its feet, silent in emotion. Early morning in a small suburb of Oregon, a thin layer of fog like a white veil settled over the weathered tiles of an old wooden house at the edge of the forest. In this seemingly forgotten corner of the world lived an 11-year-old girl named Maya Ellis, with wide, round eyes and curly, tangled hair like moss clinging to the bark of an old tree. Maya's parents had died in a flash flood while the family was camping near the Rogue River. She was the sole survivor, found curled up inside a hollow tree trunk, clutching a backpack filled with family photos. Since then, Maya had lived with her paternal aunt, Agnes Ellis, a quiet and stern woman who hadn't laughed aloud since the day her husband passed. The bond between them wasn't close, but Agnes still took care of her in the rough, weathered way of someone who had lost too much. One early spring day, while wandering through the woods behind the house, Maya stumbled upon a strange dog trapped between two fallen tree trunks. It didn't howl, didn't bark, just stared at her with deep eyes as if it could hear the beat of her heart. It took her nearly an hour to free it from the crevice and drag it home wrapped in an old tablecloth. The dog had jet black fur, a slightly drooping left ear, and most notably, it made no sound. Whether Maya called, clapped, or whispered, it remained silent. Yet it followed her everywhere, never leaving her side. Maya named it Echo. "Because even though you make no sound, you still echo in my heart," she said. Since Echo's arrival, Maya began to change. She cried less, helped more around the house, and each evening she would read aloud to the dog, as if it could understand everything. Agnes said nothing but started saving scraps of meat for Echo and quietly repaired the old kennel in the backyard. One day, Maya's school held a Connection Day event where students could bring their pets to share with the class. For Maya, it was a chance to show the world just how special Echo was. But as she stepped onto the schoolyard, a few classmates giggled at the mute dog that couldn't do tricks. A boy named Kyle, the principal's son, mocked, "It doesn't even bark." Probably broken. Maya didn't reply. She simply tightened her grip on Echo's leash. She knew value wasn't found in noise, but in the things no one else could hear. When it was her turn, Maya stepped onto the small stage. She didn't perform any tricks. She just stood there, rested her hand on Echo's back, and spoke in a voice soft as wind. "He doesn't need to bark to protect me. He doesn't need to jump to show me he loves me. He doesn't need to be trained because his heart already chose me." A few scattered laughs drifted through the crowd. But at that very moment, a balloon suddenly burst near the back rows, startling a young child who darted toward a road where a delivery truck was backing up. In a flash, Echo shot forward like lightning. Without waiting for a command, he used his body to push the child onto the grass, and then turned to shield her as the truck skidded to a halt. The schoolyard fell silent. No one had expected the useless dog to react like a trained bodyguard. Kyle stood frozen, while the child who was saved, his little sister, sobbed into Maya's arms. For the first time, Agnes's eyes softened as she looked at her granddaughter wrapped in Echo's embrace. A few days later, a stranger showed up at Maya's gate. His name was Richard Moore, a retired officer who once led the local rescue unit. After reviewing the school's surveillance footage, he recognized Echo's movements, not those of a regular pet. A thorough examination revealed a small chip beneath Echo's skin, code SARE-47, from a search and rescue unit disbanded after a wildfire in 2018. Richard shared Echo's story. He had once been a rescue dog, trained to find missing persons in blizzards. In his final mission, the unit was lost in a firestorm. Echo had led 2 soldiers to safety, but then disappeared. Everyone believed he'd perished. "So, all this time, he's still been on a mission," Maya whispered when she heard the tale. The story spread quickly across social media. People came to visit Echo, bringing gifts, but Maya refused every interview. She accepted only one offer. Echo would become the honorary symbol for the Silent Heroes Rescue Dog program, dedicated to dogs that had gone missing, been forgotten, or abandoned, giving them a chance to be seen as the quiet heroes they truly were. At the town's recognition ceremony, Maya led Echo onto the stage. There were no fireworks, no music, just a short speech from the little girl. He doesn't speak, but he always understands. Not all heroes need applause. Some just need a home and someone to believe in them, and they're ready to save the world. That day, Echo didn't bark, but he nestled his head into Maya's hand like always. A small gesture, yet the entire hall rose to their feet, not out of ritual, but because their hearts had been touched. Life didn't change much after that. Maya still helped Agnes pick plums behind the house. Echo still lay on the wooden porch every evening, but in everyone's hearts, something had shifted. One night, Maya sat on the floor, writing in a small notebook. "You lost your voice saving others, but I promise I'll tell your story to everyone who needs to hear it." And every night before bed, she would whisper into Echo's ear, "You don't have to go anywhere anymore, because we've already found each other."